Alright guys, today we have in the shop a Polaris Trailblazer 400. I think they were only made in 2003. I'm not 100% positive on that, but I do know this is a 2003. And it's got a no start condition. It'll start with the pull cord, but not with the electric start. So with it in neutral, you can hear the solenoid doing something, but the starter's not doing anything. I've checked battery voltage and it's in good shape. So the next quick thing to do is to find your starter solenoid here. Expose both the battery post and the starter post, and you jump that with a screwdriver, anything metal. It's going to spark if the starter is still good. No big deal, just push it on there, and if the starter cranks over, you know that the solenoid's bad. I've done it, I'm getting no spark whatsoever. So I know that my starter's just shot. There's nothing left of it. I mean, power's going to the starter and it's doing nothing. So I'm going to take you guys along for the ride to show you how to change the starter. And it's really common with these Polarises. If you look right there up in, that's the cable to the starter, and that's going to have to be unbolted. It's kind of hard to see it, but that'll be the first thing I unbolt, and then I'll come over to the flywheel side here, and I have to take this cover off. I shouldn't have to remove this black plastic. I might have to remove the bracket for the brake reservoir because the starter is tucked up right there. Can't see it the best. It's a bear to get to. But I got to take off this cover by undoing all these bolts all the way around to expose the starter and the Bendix. And I'm assuming it's full of rust because unfortunately, with these Polarises, that starter being down there, they just get exposed to every bit of element. And if this pull rope doesn't seal up real tight, water gets down in there, and water, of course, is going to go to the bottom and just destroy the starter. So let me get this cover off and I'll show you what's going on. As you're pulling the bolts out, you don't really have to worry about what bolt comes out of what hole because they're all the same except for this bottom one right here. It's super long. I mean, it's clearly different than the rest of them. And I'm sure because that goes all the way back to the starter. You can see. Now I'm ready to pull this cover off. And somebody's been in here before and has siliconed it. I mean, as you can see. So I'm going to have to use both hands to pry it off. And we'll wait and see if water comes out the bottom. With the cover finally pried free of the silicone, we can get it out of there. And you can see, I mean, it's not bad. I've seen a whole lot worse. I'm assuming somebody else had a problem and that's why they just siliconed it. It's not a big deal. It just makes a mess. I mean, they make a gasket for it. But maybe the guy didn't have one. But with this out of the way, now we can see the starter Bendix, which actually is in pretty good shape. And then in there, you can see there's a bolt there and a bolt there. Take those two bolts out and the starter should be able to be pushed out the backside. If you needed to change the Bendix, you probably have to pull the flywheel. We're going to see if I can get away with not pulling the flywheel. I'm not sure. I might have just enough room with the starter out. We'll see. Those two bolts removed down there. We get to go to the other side and remove the clutch housing so we can get get both clutches off so we can get the inner housing out of the way to get to the other two bolts. Alright, with the clutch cover off, I had to loosen up the fender to slip it out. It's going to be, hold on, let me look. It's going to be a 16 mil and then a 13 mil. And you're going to need a clutch puller for this. I have a little secret if you don't have one, and I'll show it to you in a second. And then this one just slides off. Let me zip this off quick. Also, I want to note that these are timed. You see the X here? There's actually an X on this, there's an X on this, and there's an X on that. Does it matter where it goes back on as long as the X's on the clutch are lined up? Not really, but I'm going to hopefully leave the clutch together and it doesn't come flying apart. But I'm going to leave the X pointed straight up, and when I put it back on, I'm going to leave it pointed straight up, so there won't be any variation. With the secondary bolt off, it just slides right off. Then you can take the belt out. It's super simple. Now, luckily for me, I have a clutch puller. I wish I could tell you what size it is, but this one's not stamped. And if you don't have one, the other trick you can do is get a bolt that's the right size and thread pitch and fill the hole with grease. You can use water. It makes a lot less of a mess, but I've had bad luck with water. I've had great luck with grease. You fill that hole with grease and you thread that bolt in and run it in, hydraulic pressure, it's going to pop it loose. I promise you. Now that that's off, I can see that, well, I can see this ain't very waterproof. There should be a big rubber cover that goes over that. I don't know why that's gone. But now that the clutch is out of the way, we got to pull this screw, that screw, that screw, that screw, that bolt, that bolt, and that bolt. Be careful not to lose your shim. That probably can stay on there, we'll see. But this is all bad. Look at that. That's not good for being waterproof. That seal should be this big all the way around. I might try to get a new one of those. I'll call the customer and see what he wants to do. After we remove those bolts, there's one more bolt right here. And then the inner clutch cover can come off. And that exposes us to the back of the starter. And this bolt, we'll have to pull these two. And then we can get to that starter, or that positive nut, and then the starter should finally come out. It's a fun process. Okay, with the bracket off, the positive cable loose, and give it a wiggle and out it comes. Yeah. And the Bendix stayed, but that should have came out with it, just like that. It's not in horrible shape. I've seen a lot worse out of these Polarises. I'm surprised the starter died. Well, I guess I'm not. It's pretty ugly. Let me see if I can get a better picture. Yeah. Water just sits down in there and corrodes the hell out of it. If I jumped on Amazon and picked up another starter, they're fairly inexpensive, I guess. It's more labor than anything. But brand new starter, brand new Bendix, and the all-important gasket. So, in the reverse order, we're going to put it all back together and make this thing have electric start again. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching. Till the next time.
Yeah.